Hey, have you guys ever thought about this? That Gary Gensler may be on the wrong side of history and how he may be written in the history books talking about how he tried to put his firm grasp on controlling the cryptocurrency market, whether it's a cryptocurrency exchange, whether it's an altcoin, whether it's Bitcoin, how he tried to manipulate the market, how he tried to keep it from coming out and being used widely by the market. Look at this article right here from Blockworks. New lawsuit challenges SEC's regulation by enforcement approach. Yeah, that's how he's been trying to rein in control of the cryptocurrency market. And I'm talking about Gary Gensler. He tries to enforce the old security and exchange laws among a new technology called cryptocurrency. Now, he resides on the federal side. This lawsuit that we're about to go into with this article is on a state level, which makes us wonder who ultimately controls the regulation of Bitcoin or cryptocurrency in general. Is it the federal level? What about the state level? What about the local level? What about the world level? Like, what other nations can place restrictions or enforcement by regulation on cryptocurrency? This is how you can tell that cryptocurrency is the way to go. It's because nobody knows who ultimately controls it. That's how you know this is a phenomenal technology. It's because it's not centralized. You're going to see many other agencies, whether federal, state, local, worldwide, try to rein in cryptocurrency. And they tried. China tried to ban it. Didn't work. People are actually now seeing how they can disrupt centralized enforcement. Keep it out the grasp of centralized entities. Bitcoin is being a live example right now for you. Assistant law professor Todd Phillips noted that the plaintiffs might find a more amenable court to the major questions doctrine argument put forth in the lawsuit. Then look at Gary. Look at old Gary. That image right there is going to be in so many history books, because they'll be like, this is the man who tried to shut down this phenomenal technology. And it didn't work. The fight is being taken to the Securities and Exchange Commission. Now, if you guys been in the cryptocurrency market, you already know how Gary has sued many cryptocurrencies. Ripple has sued many exchanges, Binance, Kraken. They've really taken their enforcement activities and try to state that all coins are securities, that people have been selling illicit securities. Well, now they're actually being the defendant in this particular lawsuit, led by LEJ. I'm just going to call it LEJ, a digital asset company, and the Crypto Freedom Alliance of Texas. So these two entities are the plaintiffs, and the SEC is the defendant. The roles have been switched in a lawsuit filed against the U.S. regulator in Texas court. So this is a state issue. The plaintiffs claimed in court papers that the SEC has not received the proper authority to regulate digital assets. So maybe, just maybe, the world won't just be cryptocurrency. Other assets will become digitized. So these two entities are trying to say, look, the SEC don't have control, complete authority over the digital asset space. Who gave them that authority? Quote, although multiple SEC commissioners have recognized for years that Congress has not provided the SEC with broad authority to regulate digital assets, and although Congress has considered dozens of often bipartisan bills related to the digital asset regulation in recent years, but enacted none of them, the SEC recent enforcement action embraced the novel position that nearly all digital asset transactions involve investment contracts under the federal security laws. So pretty much what they're saying is that, look, everyone has seen that Congress is the one who set the laws within the United States, but they haven't given the SEC the authority to regulate it. They have considered, talking about Congress, have considered other bills related to cryptocurrency, but nothing has passed. None of it has been enacted. So how can the SEC, with its enforcement under old security laws, try to embrace the cryptocurrency space then? That's where this lawsuit is stating that the SEC is stepping over its boundaries. They have no control over digital assets. If they did, then Congress will have enacted some laws, some bills to show them, hey, the SEC is the go-to individual or the entity that we will restrict and constrain cryptocurrencies and try to regulate it. But they haven't done it. So how can the SEC, with its broad enforcement brush, literally try to swap all things crypto under old federal security laws? And I quote, "Crypto goes on offense in the courts," commented Jake Cervinsky, chief legal officer at Variant Fund. Furthermore, the two argued that the SEC's enforcement actions name digital assets, not investment contracts, because they do not involve any kind of ongoing commitment on the part of the asset seller or developer to manage any common venture for the asset buyer's benefit. According to the complaint, LEJ, quote, wishes to launch a new digital asset trading platform. However, the company is concerned that the SEC may seek a suit against it at a later date due to its previous actions. Yep. So now we have a pattern. And LEJ is like, look, I'm trying to create a digital trading platform, and I've noticed that the SEC has been gung-ho on these other exchanges, suing them, saying that they've sold unregistered securities and that it's been fraud and that this has occurred and that has occurred under these federal security laws. Before I even go down this hole of creating a trading platform, I need to sue them first. I need to get some type of resolution that when I do create my trading platform, the SEC can come back and say, hey, did you know back in such and such years, you actually sold unregistered securities? We're going to sue you now. The SEC filed a suit against Ripple in 2020. In June of last year, it announced actions against Coinbase and Binance. Those are just three examples of the SEC trying to enforce their old federal security laws under cryptocurrencies. CFAT, on the other hand, advocates for the responsible development of crypto policies in Texas. It argued that the SEC's current dominion over the industry impedes the ability of other authorities whose jurisdiction may properly extend to digital assets to enter the field. Yeah. They're trying to play the bully on the yard, talking about the SEC. So you have other state authorities, namely, look like Texas is taking a rein on this one, saying that, well, what if we want to allow this to happen within our jurisdiction? But the SEC is running around like he or she just completely controls the cryptocurrency market, and they don't. Texas is trying to say, y'all don't control this. This is where you'll see the power of decentralization, because now these centralized entities are going to battle it out. They're going to try to figure out, okay, who will control this? This is what we're seeing right now. The 57-page complaint claims that the SEC has refused to propose for public comment any regulations setting forth its view on what purportedly brings a digital asset within its regulatory domain, and in fact explicitly denied a recent petition for rulemaking imploring the agency to do so. You got people out here looking for the SEC. Look, y'all, tell us where y'all stand. You have people who wants to get involved in cryptocurrency within this relatively new market, running to the SEC. Look, put out a petition, ask the public for comment about where do we stand on their authority to enforce cryptocurrency. And in fact, they denied it. And I'm talking about the SEC said, no, we're not going to do that. Why not? Because I think from their viewpoint, I'm talking about the SEC, they'll see that as a negative. They'll see that they won't have control over the cryptocurrency markets. So rather than them being kind of like a team player, the SEC, they're like, look, we're going to turn down our petition and we're just going to completely sue whoever we want to sue within the cryptocurrency market. Here's an example right there. The next sentence. Coinbase attempted to seek regulatory clarity from the SEC last year, but was denied by the SEC. Now, make that make sense. You have the Coinbase, like a little child, being regulated under federal security laws, going to the father and say, hey, Pop, what do you think about this? Let me get some clarity as to where you stand on this situation. And then the father turns around and says, get out of my face. I ain't got time for that. That is literally what happened between Coinbase and SEC. So LEJ is like, look, before I do anything, I need to get some clarity on the SEC. Paul Greenwald, chief legal officer at Coinbase, weighed in on the Texas suit, asking, quote, how many suits will it take before the SEC gets that all this community asks is to understand the rules so that it can follow them faithfully? This is where you will have to have an environment of collaboration and communication between everybody. And I'm talking about from the local level to the state level to the federal level to the SEC to Congress to the Senate to the House to the president. Like, everyone needs to voice where they stand. And then ultimately the public. The public needs to have the final say as to what they would consider a fair regulatory body for cryptocurrency. Todd Phillips, an assistant professor of law at Robinson College, believes that the court filing will allow the Fifth Circuit Court to weigh in on the suit. Okay, cool. Now, Phillips further noted that he previously helped file amicus briefs in the Coinbase suit, arguing that, quote, because the SEC is just bringing enforcement actions under statute without a regulation, there cannot be a major questions doctrine violation. The major questions doctrine has been a key point for both Coinbase and Binance, and essentially states that Congress must specify if it wants an agency to have power over significant matters instead of implying the authority in law. Yeah, they're trying to say that Congress needs to tell and put it on the books that it's the SEC who has the final say. But instead, it's just been implied. People just been going with the motions since the SEC has authority over security laws. So I guess they're trying to place cryptocurrency under that same mantra. But what if it's not? What if cryptocurrency is more than a security? Which that battle has been taken to the courts too. Some people see it as a security. Some people see cryptocurrency as a commodity. Last month, Judge Catherine Polk told Coinbase attorneys that she wasn't sure the crypto industry is so major or extraordinary that I have to find it here, end quote. Adding later that she also didn't want to, quote, take power I don't have to stop something I shouldn't, end quote. So she's like, I'm stuck. I don't know what direction, because there's nothing written on the books that tells me which direction I need to go with cryptocurrency. This is crazy, right? Yeah, this shows you the power of cryptocurrency. So I think we need to continue to see these lawsuits come to the SEC. The more lawsuits that these states hit the SEC with, I think they'll get their act together. I think they'll become more serious into looking at, okay, there's too many lawsuits coming and we got to answer to all of them. Maybe we need to take this serious and get with Congress and try to pass some history, some laws that tells us how far reaching we can be with cryptocurrency. This would be interesting to see how this ultimately concludes. Now, that's it. That's my perception right now. Of course, with everything, as more information comes out, I'm more than able to change my opinion. But that's just what I feel right now. How do you feel? Give me your thoughts. Make sure you maintain profitability. And as always, trade different.